it's a Monday morning and all expectations are on Indian stock markets to deliver the kind of gains that we saw last week with this new week of trading beginning today. Well, it does seem to be listening to the cries of the Indian investors, and let's look at how Sensex and Nifty are faring this morning. Well, it seems to be a positive start once again after the markets rallied on Friday after the Reserve Bank of India gave a bonanza, not just 50 basis point cut in repo rate but also a 100 basis point CRR reduction. Markets continue on their upward trajectory even this Monday morning. Sensex and Nifty both up about 0.4 of a percentage point. Now, Sensex is holding well above the 82,500 mark, while Nifty is comfortably above the 25,100 mark. Let's look at the action on the small cap and mid cap space. Nifty small cap performing better at about 0.75 of a percentage up. The Nifty small cap 100 now at about 18,700 odd levels. Meanwhile, the Nifty mid cap 100 is also up about 0.7 of a percentage point, inching closer to the 59,500 territory. Volatility in the Indian markets, while it's a little higher than what we saw on Friday, is still in a comfortable 14.83 levels. Let's look at the Nifty 50 heat map and try and make sense of where the action on the Dalal Street is really looking green today. And well, it seems that the IT pack is delivering excellent gains for investors today. TCS and Infosys both about a percentage point up in the green. We also have good news coming in from Wipro as well as HCL, Tech Mahindra. All IT stocks doing well after US markets inched higher on Friday, and the broad indices in the US registered about a 1% gain on Friday's trading session. Meanwhile, the banking sector, barring HDFC Bank, which is absolutely flat, and ICICI Bank, which is a bit in the red, but all banking stocks are continuing to rejoice in that CRR reduction which RBI offered to them yesterday. Axis Bank is up about 1.3%, Kotak Mahindra is up about 1.78%, and SBI is also up about 0.85% or so in trade. But it's not just good news. While one half of the screen is looking green, there are a few red patches that we are seeing on the other side, and this comes primarily on account of the non-energy minerals. You've got Tata Steel and JSW both reeling under a little bit of pain. Remember, we have exactly a month to go for US tariffs to kick in on 9th of July. So perhaps a little bit of stress being seen on non-energy minerals. Meanwhile, Bharti Airtel, which had a stupendous week, is witnessing almost 0.75 of a percentage point down today. This could be on account of news coming in of Starlink coming into India's market, the telecom broadband market. Well, we have a very special guest joining us this morning. Kranthi Bathini is here with us to help us deconstruct the mood on Dalal Street. Well, Kranthi, you and I were talking on this show at this very hour on Friday when RBI gave that bonanza 50 basis point repo rate cut and 100 basis point CRR cut. And we are seeing the banking stocks are doing very well this morning. Apart from that, there seems to be a little bit of pain coming in from the steel stocks, the cement stocks, as well as Bharti Airtel. What's really going on in the markets?
Yeah, Karthik, good morning to you. Yeah, the moves by RBI definitely positive, and it's going to have a long-lasting impact in the medium to short term on the markets. And what we are seeing is some kind of a leadership rotations we are witnessing in the indices. Now the prime focus is moving back to banking and financial services. We can see some kind of profit booking and also some sense of a leadership rotation in the overall broader indices at this point of time. But banking and financial services remains the gainer. And as you mentioned, IT is some kind of a cherry picking is taking place in IT in the medium to short term.
Right. So this cherry picking which is taking place seems to be cherry picking across all the IT stocks on the Nifty 50 heat map. If we can just pick up the IT stocks on my screen right now, TCS is up more than 1%, Infosys is up about 1.32%, HCL Tech is up about 0.87%, Wipro is up about 1.05%, Tech Mahindra is up about 0.82%. Kranthi, you and I have spoken about this multiple times that we don't really see too much of a correlation between what's happening in the US and what's happening in India. But that correlation seems to be back on the table again.
Yeah, Karthik, sometimes in a day where when there is a exuberance in the market, some kind of money, because the long-term IT pack has been below the long-term average, the historical average. That's where as and when there is a positivity in the market, we tend to see some kind of a broad-based buying and also cherry picking. We do witness in IT pack. That is the reason. Because the business models are quite strong. Of course, there is some kind of a global uncertainty. What we are witnessing from US, that's a overhang on these stocks. But due to the strong business models and the cash flows these companies have, definitely these businesses are a strong case for the long-term investing. That's where the long-only funds do the cherry picking in these stocks.
All right, Kranthi, let's move on now to other consumer durable space. And again, I think the RBI rate cut decision on that seems to be pretty significant because auto stocks we saw had rallied even on Friday, and that rally continues today. In addition to that, we are also seeing stocks like Titan really inch up about 0.4 of a percentage point. Is all of this, again, is this an overhang of the overall sentiment that we are seeing, which again is moving to at least this one positive trigger that we got on Friday? Or is this more to do with the fact that, of course, people are going to get loans, those loans are going to cost them lesser because of the rate cut, and hence there's going to be greater demand for consumer durables?
Yes, Karthik. Autos and the real estate are perceived to be the interest rate sensitives. But despite of the fact, last couple of years, even though there is a tight monetary policy on Indian markets, what we witnessed is these stocks rallied on a longer term basis. But the bazooka what the RBI have given definitely boosts the sentiment for these stocks. And again, the consumer consumption is going to be the focus area going ahead. That's the reason we can see some kind of positivity. Names like Titan and all, which have been in a long consolidation phase in the recent past.
Right, so that's the view coming in on stocks like Titan. Well, I also want to bring your focus now on Bharti Airtel. And this stock is under a little bit of pressure this morning, Kranthi. It's down almost a percentage point already. Is this to do with what we are seeing with Starlink and Starlink's entry into India, which again, Bharti Airtel and Reliance Jio both have reportedly been against, given that it's going to be spectrum allocation and the satellite broadband is going to come much cheaper for Starlink than it did for both OneWeb as well as Reliance Jio?
Yeah, Karthik, definitely. These are the early signs. We need to see how the Starlink is going to make it presence in India, and the technology disruptions are there. Definitely, these moves we need to watch closely. It's going to have impact on players like Bharti Airtel, because Reliance, because of this conglomeration, but coming to their plans, unlocking the value in terms of the Geo as a platform going ahead, that also going to have some kind of impact on their earnings. But overall, we need to closely watch this space. That's going to be interesting going ahead. And also the Voda idea also there. Of course, it have a limited presence in terms of the broadband is concerned. But this is the interesting move to watch for the telecom space. But end of the day, the consumers are going to get benefited because of these moves.
Right. So do you think we have now a formidable third player coming into India's telecom space, Kranthi, or do you think that Starlink's role is largely going to be limited only to the remote and rural areas, the unserved areas, which is what we are reading from reports right now? Or is there a case for a real third player in India's telecom space now?
Karthik, we have witnessed a long stand of a consolidation from the past 15 years, from 28 players around. Now we are at 2.5. I'm mentioning about Vodafone, which is in a limbo. Right. So definitely there can be a space for a third player that can be possible.
All right, Kranthi. I also want to draw your attention to the Pharma pack, and the Pharma pack is also giving us mixed cues today. Dr. Reddy's is down about 0.5%, Cipla is down about a third of a percentage point. Now we have exactly a month to go for Donald Trump's July 9th deadline for tariffs to kick in. And pharma tariffs, which had been excluded, and then there was a statement from Donald Trump that pharma is going to see the kind of tariffs never seen before. And then we have this 90-day hiatus, and now this 90-day hiatus already has 60 days over and 30 days to go. And the question on tariffs on India's pharmaceutical industry still continue to be in a bit of a limbo. So how do you see this sector pan out? Is there a call that you can take on the pharma sector at all until we know exactly how tariffs are going to pan out?
Karthik, by and large, what I expect, my personal feeling is it's going to have a neutral impact, the tariffs, because these are all essential drugs. The Indian pharmaceutical companies are involved. And also, to make a new supply chain, it's not possible because these companies comes up with a strong FDA norms and good medical practices and manufacturing practices, GMPs are concerned. So it's not easy to replicate the supplies from a different geography. So farmers are going to have a neutral impact in the medium to short term. But I am also cross my fingers how this policy actions are going to be, tariff actions are going to be. It's like with respect to the actions of President Trump, with respect to pharma is concerned, they're in a mode where the damage is caused by injury or injury is caused by damage. That's what the tariff concerns right now. Uh, that's what the feel we are getting overall.
Okay, and if I were to ask you the same question in the context of steel stocks and steel companies making in India, exporting to the US, and some of them who are making in the US, which includes the likes of Hindalco, and some which are making in UK, which has been exempt from the steel and aluminium tariffs, how's the story going to pan out for India's steel stocks over the next, let's say, 6 months to a year or so, Kranthi, if you can take a call on that?
Same, Karthik, with respect to the India steel is concerned, by and large, it's going to have a neutral impact. By and large, the more impact is going to be on the Chinese makers and producers. But as for the Indian steel producers are concerned, our domestic consumption has been going up. The infra focus has been going up. So it's going to have a nominal impact. By and large, players like Hindalco and Tata Steel, they have a UK and the US trade agreement. That's where the Tata Steel going to have a benefit. With respect to Hindalco is concerned, they do have some kind of a manufacturing facilities in US. But we need to see how this entire episode is going to be. But by and large, it's going to have a neutral impact on Indian players. But the focus of this entire tariff agenda is going to be focused on the Chinese makers who have been dumping more steel in US.